making Gunnypaste, which is a paste that you can apply to firearms, especially older ones with oil finished stocks, that will keep them waterproof and preserve the firearm and prevent rust on the metal parts. It's a really simple recipe, and there's only a couple things you're going to need. You're going to need beeswax, boiled linseed oil, and turpentine. And then a container to put it in. Airtight's best, but like a little tin, like an Altoids tin or something similar would work just fine. We're going to be cooking it. All this stuff is highly flammable, so it's best to do it outside or someplace where you've got a fire extinguisher at hand. It is also smelly, so I'm doing it out on the grill instead of in the house, because last time my wife got pretty upset with me for making it. So it's pretty straightforward. What you need is 1 part beeswax, 1 part turpentine, and 1 part boiled linseed oil. So I'm going to go ahead and put the beeswax in here right now. I've got the jar more than 1/3 full with beeswax because this is going to melt down. So it should melt down to about 1/3 of a jar. Go ahead and pop that into a pot of boiling water to melt this all the way down. Alright, so we got our beeswax melted. We got about 1/3 of a jar. We're going to add the turpentine. Fill that up to about the 2/3 mark. And then our BLO. Up to there. Then you want to mix this together thoroughly. You may need to heat it again to melt the wax back down. See how it got all stringy. So that's the part where you got to watch that you don't catch anything on fire, because all this stuff is flammable. So I'm going to put this back on the heat. Back on the heat, and just stir it while it melts till everything's nice and consistent. And now you can see there's a bunch of wax chunks in there. That's what we're trying to melt out. And that's about how you want it to look. Nice and consistent, no chunks of wax. Nice, even mixture. Now this, you just let it set and let it solidify on its own. And there you are. That's what it looks like when it's solidified. Nice yellow paste. Like I said, an airtight container is best because it'll keep longer. You can also use just a tin, but the Gunnypaste will off-gas and it'll break down to mostly wax. You can see this is from 2019, and over time it's dried up to the point where it's really hard and not really usable. And this one I've melted back down a couple of times to soften it back up, but it's done. You can see how much it's shrunk. It's dried out. So being in a sealable container like this will let it keep for a lot longer. And the way you use it's real simple. You just scoop some out on your finger, rub it right into the stock. Your body heat will melt the wax, and you just rub it in until it won't absorb anymore. And then once you get to that point, snag a paper towel, wipe it down, and continue on across the whole gun. This is good for the metal parts. This is good for the wood parts. For the wood, it will draw into it because of the turpentine and the linseed oil, and then the wax will keep it waterproof. It just keeps the wood moisturized and keeps it healthy, helps it prevent dry rot and splitting. And then for the metal, the waterproofing will keep it from rusting. It just aids the bluing and keeping the metal nice and safe. So there you go. It's a quick down and dirty rundown of Gunnypaste. I do recommend this stuff. It's pretty fantastic. It's good for any firearm. It's especially effective on older military surplus firearms with oil finishes on the wood, because it won't soak into like a polyurethane finish on, say, a modern shotgun or something like that. But it will still protect the metal. If you got a gun with a wood stock that you're using it on, I do recommend pulling the metal out of the wood and coating the barrel and the action and all that sort of stuff inside the wood, underneath the wood line, because especially on these military surplus rifles, that's where you tend to see most of the rust as moisture collects underneath the wood and rots the barrel away. So this stuff will help protect against that. If you got a hunting shotgun, this stuff is great for that. You know, you take it out in the field, it rains, it snows on it, it's not going to rust, it's not going to get grungy with this. And it's cheap, easy to make, easy to apply. I really don't have any negatives to say about it, and I wish you guys good luck making your own.